The case of Mary Ashford and Barbara Forrest is one of the most chilling and mysterious murders in British history. Despite being separated by 157 years, the two cases share eerie similarities that have led to speculation and theories about the connection between them. Here's a detailed account of their stories, covering all the essential aspects. Mary Ashford was a 20-year-old servant girl who lived in Erdington, near Birmingham, England. On May 27, 1817, she was raped and murdered after attending a dance at the Tyburn pub. Her body was found in a shallow pool, and the main suspect, Abraham Thornton, was acquitted due to insufficient evidence. This decision caused public outrage, as many believed justice had not been served. Barbara Forrest was also a 20-year-old woman who was raped and strangled on May 27, 1974, in Birmingham, England. Her body was found in Pipe Hayes Park, and Michael Ian Thornton, a co-worker, became the prime suspect. However, like in Mary Ashford's case, Thornton was acquitted at trial due to lack of evidence, leaving the case unsolved. The cases of Mary Ashford and Barbara Forrest are marked by a series of eerie similarities that are hard to ignore, creating a chilling and unsettling connection between them. Both women were 20 years old at the time of their murders. Their murders occurred on the same date, May 27, albeit separated by 157 years. Adding to the uncanny parallels, both victims were found in Pipe Hayes Park, Birmingham, and showed signs of sexual assault before they were murdered. The similarities continue with the fact that both women had spent the evening dancing before they were killed. Even more striking is that the suspects in both cases shared the same last name, Thornton, yet were ultimately acquitted due to a lack of conclusive evidence, leaving both murders unsolved. Mary Ashford was a young servant living in Erdington, near Birmingham. Born around 1796, she worked as a housekeeper for her uncle, a farmer in Langley Heath. Mary was known for her cheerful personality and beauty. She was sociable and enjoyed attending dances, including a significant event at the Tyburn pub, which was a popular social spot in her community. On the evening of May 26, 1817, Mary attended a dance at the Tyburn house with her friend, Hannah Cox. After the dance, she left with Abraham Thornton, a local man who had shown interest in her. Around 4 a.m. the next morning, Mary stopped by Hannah's house to change out of her party clothes, saying she needed to get home before her uncle left for market. After leaving Hannah's house, she was last seen alone on her way home. After leaving Hannah's house, Mary Ashford was never seen alive again. The next morning, her body was found in a ditch in Pipe Hayes Park, Birmingham. An autopsy revealed that she had been raped and brutally attacked before her death. Despite evidence pointing to foul play, there was not enough to convict the prime suspect, Abraham Thornton, who was acquitted due to lack of substantial evidence. This verdict sparked outrage among the public, who believed justice had not been done. Barbara Forrest was a 20-year-old childcare worker living in Birmingham, England. Like Mary Ashford, Barbara was a young woman who enjoyed social activities. She was well regarded in her community and was involved with St. Mark's Lutheran Church. On the night of May 26, 1974, Barbara went out dancing with her boyfriend, Simon Belcher. The couple spent the evening celebrating, and Simon accompanied Barbara to a bus stop around 1 a.m. on May 27th, for her journey home. Tragically, a few days later, Barbara's body was found in Pipe Hayes Park. The the same location where Mary Ashford's body had been discovered 157 years earlier. The investigation into Mary Ashford's murder began on May 27, 1817, when her body was found in a water-filled pit in 𝗕𝗿𝗿𝗍 Park. Initial findings suggested a violent struggle, with footprints at the scene indicating the presence of both a male and female. These clues led to suspicion towards Abraham Thornton, who had been seen with Mary on the night of her death. Abraham Thornton was arrested based on circumstantial evidence, including bloodstains on his clothes and matching footprints at the crime scene. Thornton claimed that he had consensual relations with Mary and denied involvement in her death. Despite the public's strong belief in his guilt, the jury acquitted Thornton due to insufficient evidence, causing widespread outrage. In contrast, the investigation into Barbara Forrest's murder began on June 4, 1974, after her body was discovered in a ditch near 𝗕𝗿𝗿𝗍 Park. Initial findings revealed that she had been raped and strangled. Over 100 detectives were involved in the manhunt, and Michael Ian Thornton, a co-worker of Barbara, became a suspect after blood was found on his pants, and his alibi proved false. However, he was acquitted at trial due to a lack of direct evidence linking him to the crime. There are theories we might consider. The murder of Barbara Forrest might have been inspired by the case of Mary Ashford, potentially involving a copycat crime where the circumstances were deliberately mirrored. Copycat crimes are criminal acts where individuals imitate earlier crimes, often inspired by the methods, motives, or circumstances of the original incidents. These crimes can be particularly dangerous, as they show how one person's actions can influence others to commit similar offenses. Below are some of the most famous examples of copycat crimes. One well-known case is the Zodiac Killer copycat from the 1980s. The original Zodiac Killer was active in California during the late 1960s and early 1970s, claiming to have killed 37 people and taunting the police with cryptic letters. In the 1980s, Heriberto Seda, known as the New York Zodiac, tried to mimic the Zodiac Killer's methods in New York City. Seda sent letters to the police and killed 3 people, injuring others in his attempt to gain the same level of notoriety as the original Zodiac Killer. Another tragic example is the wave of copycat crimes inspired by the Columbine High School massacre in 1999. In this horrific event, 2 students, Eric Harris and Dylan Klebold, killed 13 people before taking their own lives. The extensive media coverage of the massacre inspired other school shootings, with some perpetrators explicitly mentioning Columbine as their inspiration. Notable cases include the Red Lake High School shooting in 2005 and the Virginia Tech massacre in 2007. In the 1930s, a series of murders in New York City's East Harlem were attributed to a killer dubbed the Copycat Ripper. This criminal mimicked the infamous Jack the Ripper, who terrorized London in 1888 by murdering and mutilating at least 5 women. The Copycat Ripper targeted women in a similar manner, leaving their bodies mutilated, thus creating a chilling connection to the original Jack the Ripper. The Tylenol murders in 1982 are another example of how a heinous crime can inspire copycats. In the original crime, 7 people died after taking Tylenol capsules laced with cyanide. This incident led to a massive recall and changes in product packaging to prevent tampering. Unfortunately, the case also inspired several copycat poisonings and hoaxes involving tainted products, although none were as deadly as the original Tylenol case. During the 1960s, the Boston Strangler, believed to be Albert DeSalvo, killed 13 women in the Boston area. as the Boston Strangler's notoriety grew, several other crimes occurred that mimicked his method of strangulation and the way he entered his victims' homes. Some of these may have been copycat crimes, while others were opportunistic acts that were wrongly attributed to the Strangler. David Berkowitz, known as the Son of Sam, terrorized New York City between 1976 and 1977, killing 6 people and injuring 7 others. He claimed to be guided by a demon dog, and his bizarre motives and highly publicized letters to the police inspired several copycat crimes. Some individuals even claimed to be sons of Sam in letters to the police, further spreading fear. The movie Scream, 1996, also inspired a disturbing copycat crime in 1998. The film features a masked killer who stalks and murders his victims in a slasher style. In Florida, 2 teenage boys, influenced by the movie, murdered their friend, trying to recreate the events of the film. They confessed to watching Scream multiple times before planning and executing the murder. But what I believe is that these cases are nothing more than mere coincidences, because history has witnessed many unbelievable cases of coincidences. Mark Twain was born on November 30, 1835, the same day Halley's Comet made its closest approach to Earth. And he fulfilled his prediction of dying with the comet by passing away on April 21, 1910, just a day after its next closest approach. The Hoover Dam's construction brought a chilling coincidence when J.G. Tierney drowned on December 20, 1922, and 13 years later, his son Patrick Tierney also died on the same date while working on the dam. Violet Jessup, known as Miss Unsinkable, survived the sinkings of 3 ships, the RMS Olympic, RMS Titanic, and HMHS Britannic between 1911 and 1916. Edgar Allan Poe's novel featured a character named Richard Parker who was cannibalized after a shipwreck, a grim coincidence mirrored by the real-life execution of a crew member with the same name in 1884 after a shipwreck. Founding fathers of America John Adams and Thomas Jefferson both died on July 4, 1826, the 50th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence. King Umberto I of Italy met a doppelganger in 1900 with strikingly similar life details, and both men died on the same day, July 29, 1900. Henry Ziegland survived a bullet that lodged in a tree, only to be killed years later when the bullet was dislodged by a dynamite blast intended to remove the tree. The craziest of all, in 1979, a remarkable reunion took place when a set of identical twins, separated at just 4 weeks old, met for the first time at age 39. Despite having lived apart for 37 years, their lives had astonishing similarities. Both twins had been named Jim by their adoptive parents and shared a love for math and carpentry. They both chose careers in security, married women named Linda, divorced, and then remarried women named Betty. Even their children were named James Allen and James Allen. The striking coincidences in their lives made their reunion a fascinating and extraordinary event. These theories present different lenses through which to view the cases, reflecting various interpretations from logical to speculative.